So the US government shutdown is here, and if it keeps up, it's going to cause a whole lot of problems. I already did a report on the TSA agents, and once they start missing paychecks, you can imagine how it's going to be at the airports. But that's not the only issue. This shutdown is going to hit tourism as well. Federal parks, museums, and attractions. Most of them are run by federal employees, and that means a lot of those places are about to close. But if you still insist on going to the US now, expect to find a whole lot of close signs on these places. Today, I'm going to show you a report out of the Bay Area that breaks down exactly what's happening and which attractions are already closed. Today's backdrop comes from Teresa, who sent in this photo from Halifax. I'm not exactly sure where it was taken, but it's a great shot of the fall leaves changing. Thank you for sending this in, Teresa. And before we dive in, a quick shout out to our newest members. For some reason, over the past week and a half, we've had a big wave of new people joining the channel. I honestly don't know why. But my guess, maybe it has to do something with everybody resubscribing. I don't know. But regardless of that, I thank everyone for their support. It really means a lot to me. Okay, before I get into the Bay Area report, let's take a look at this piece from Global News that talks about the government shutdown and how it may affect the cross-border travel.
Saturday marked day 4 of the U.S. government shutdown after another attempt to open things up failed in the Senate on Friday afternoon with no votes scheduled until Monday. And while much of the focus has been on the politics that led to the government chaos, the impacts are being felt. Laura Baxter is with Oxford Economics to give us an idea as how this shutdown is having an impact on the travel and tourism industry. Laura, thanks for joining us today. Here we are 4 days in. Airports are still operating, so are the borders, even the parks. They're letting people in. But the longer this goes on, what is the risk to the tourism sector?
Good morning, Reggie. Thanks so much for having me. So yes, we don't know how long this shutdown will last and whether it will unfold in the same way that it did in previous shutdowns. But we did do some research about the shutdown in 2018 and 2019, which lasted about 5 weeks. So we looked at the impact to the travel industry, and we estimated a loss of economic activity of about $1 billion per week.
Now keep in mind, during the last shutdown, we didn't have Donald Trump out there trying to annex our country or threatening to make us the 51st state. So when she mentions $1 billion a week loss, I'd say it's safe to assume that the hit's going to be even bigger this time around, especially when you factor in the current boycott and how many Canadians and international travelers are refusing to cross the border.
So this includes impacts, kind of lost impacts related to transport infrastructure closures, including air and rail passenger activity, and the impact of attraction closures like national parks, in addition to less travel spending from the US government.
So, there's obviously some strains here. Some of the policies that had come out of the White House over the last year has been turning off international travelers. Is that just adding to the situation with the shutdown?
Yes, it kind of comes at a time where international inbound travel is already under strain. So our current forecast is that we're going to see a 2%, about 2.8% decline in overseas travel to the US by the year end. Currently, we're at about 2%. So certainly this shutdown does present a downside risk to our current forecast for not only international travel, but also domestic travel within the US.
A 2% decrease in international travelers by the end of the year. That seems a bit small if you ask me. From everything we've been seeing, I'd expect that number to be way higher than that. I looked into it, and the company that she's actually from is called Oxford Economics, and is based out of Pennsylvania. I don't know, something just doesn't feel right about this. Maybe they're underplaying it. But regardless of that, I feel that number should be higher.
Going back to the international travel issue, this is something that northern states have really been feeling now with fewer Canadians heading south over the last several months, be it because of tariffs or because of rhetoric coming out of the White House on matters to do with the 51st state. But what does data suggest about the number of Canadians that are simply avoiding travel to the U.S.?
So the most recent leading indicators suggest that Canadian residents, their trips to the US are down about 26% over the first 8 months of the year. As you mentioned, the sharpest decline and the most extreme impact is being felt along that northern border state. So, for instance, New Hampshire, Vermont, North Dakota, Maine, where our current forecasts are expecting international overnight arrivals to decline to those states by about 20% or more.
If you ask me, it's probably closer to 25 to 30% or maybe more. That's just my opinion though, based on what I'm seeing from the Canadian reports on the border and Canadian airline travel metrics. But I'll leave it up to you, the viewer, to decide whether or not you want to believe these numbers. Now let's move on to the next report out of the Bay Area. I know the global piece we just watched said that the parks are still open, but this next report shows that things are already starting to change very quickly.
We begin with the government shutdown leaving a whole lot of disappointed tourists all across the Bay Area. The common theme today all across our region, signs like this one at Muir Woods, visitors finding out that popular attractions are off limits due to a lapse in funding. More of the same across the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Today, cyclists discovering that they will need to make a detour around a popular route through Fort Point. And for tourists looking to check out Alcatraz Island, it was even more confusing. The Bay Area landmark was closed, but not because of the shutdown. Brad Hamilton joins us live to sort this all out. So what is open, Brad?
The question of the day, Ryan, and as we all know, when you're planning a vacation, you think about timing, right? When's the best time to go for weather? When can we get those cheapest flights? But right now, a whole lot of people visiting the Bay Area are dealing with some bad timing, and it comes down to 3 words: federal government shutdown.
Government shutdown. The government shutdown.
Okay,
so we cannot work. If the government shut down the job, so we can do nothing.
On Monday, the gates to get on a ferry to the Rock were humming. Today, not so much. Tourists showed up with tickets, only to learn that Alcatraz was closed.
Now, for most of us here on this channel, we won't have this problem. Why? Because we're just choosing not to go at all, and not be a part of this chaos that's happening in the US. But for those who still decide to go, despite a mountain of warning signs, well, good luck. First, you gotta deal with CBP at the border. Then you got the ICE agents roaming around like a pack of wolves. Then you got the MAGA supporters who don't even want you there. And when you finally make it to your attraction, it's closed because of the shutdown. But hey, if you want to fly thousands of miles to go through all of that and still get rejected at the end of it, I hope you had a great time.
Wednesday was a planned construction day, but tomorrow, a big question mark. The security guard out front told us that he doesn't even know if he'll be working.
Nobody likes it. Everybody likes to work. Me too. I like to work, but if they say no work, it's shut down, what can I do? Nothing. Tomorrow nobody knows. You got to wait.
His job for now is to pass that message along, and he did so over and over again.
Nobody's yet working right now.
And for a couple from Louisiana, it was not what they wanted to hear.
It's very saddening, but what can we do?
Are you going to come back just to see tomorrow?
I'm going to come back and check tomorrow and see if it's open.
And just a few miles away at Fort Point, gates locked, visitors limited to the paths. For 2 sisters from London in town just for 2 days, that wasn't the plan.
It's my first time, so I'm a bit gutted.
What are you guys doing to make up the time?
Well, we're
cycling over the bridge.
Yeah, and have to drink more wine.
Muir Woods, another tourist staple, closed. That's where we met a man from Canada who told us he was disappointed by the timing, but still determined to soak in the view.
It's a little bit disappointing, but we enjoyed the ride down the road, and we'll enjoy the ride back up the road.
I know if you're Canadian watching this, you're probably looking at that guy with disappointment. But hey, if that's what he wants to do, go to the US and support their economy. That's completely up to him. But I just know that if something happens and he ends up getting caught in the middle of it, there's not going to be much sympathy from us.
Adding to the confusion over what is open or closed, the Presidio Trust, which operates with its own funding, says for them, it's mostly business as usual. The Presidio Visitor Center and the Golden Gate Bridge Visitor Center are both still open. Even locals are getting caught off guard. We found a runner stunned to learn Fort Point was shut down.
I'll probably just run through. If it's closed, I don't know who would be mad at me.
Yeah, I guess it's easier to do when you know where you're going. But for visitors, today's shutdown brought confusion and frustration. And for right now, no one knows if tomorrow will be any different. And just tonight, a National Parks Conservancy official told our newsroom that the plan is for Alcatraz to reopen tomorrow. Again, this was a construction shutdown today, so some good news for folks. And another good sign is that they were selling tickets throughout the day, so you got to think Alcatraz will be reopened. A good sign for a whole lot of visitors who were disappointed today.
We're only 4 days into the shutdown at the time I'm editing this video. Let's see what happens if this drags on for 5 weeks, just like it did for Trump's last term. Now let's move over to Washington, D.C., where federal parks and museums are already starting to shut their doors.
Tourists come to Washington to take in all the sights, but the government shutdown means some tours are a no-go. It's disappointing for visitors like Elizabeth Warfield. She and her family came to D.C. from Minnesota. It's their first trip here, and they're not going to see everything on their list.
A little bit disappointing. There are some things we're not going to be able to see. I know I saw the National Archives is closed, and that was something we were really hoping to go and see, all those really important historical documents. We came here all the way from Minnesota, and I don't know that we'll be back, so it is disappointing that we won't be able to see those. We're also hoping to go to the Library of Congress, which I understand is also closed.
Make a trip from Vancouver to Washington, D.C. to see the National Archives, or go to Mexico, Costa Rica, or Cuba. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we know which one I would choose. We're only 4 days into this shutdown, and I have a feeling this is going to drag on for a while, but who knows, I could be wrong. Either way, if it does last as long as the last shutdown, planning any trips to the US over the next 5 weeks probably isn't the best idea, and that includes if you have a flight with a stopover. Like I mentioned in my previous video, TSA agents aren't getting paid, and they're going to start calling in sick soon. You can count on that. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same for the air traffic controllers, which if you ask me, it's even more concerning. So my advice? Just stay away, unless you're really interested in collecting photos of closed signs.
Right behind us is the Washington Monument, so not going to be able to go up there. It's unfortunate.
No public tours at the U.S. Capitol either. Over at the historic Ford's Theater, where President Lincoln was shot, a sign on the door reads, "Closed due to the federal government shutdown." Exhibits across the street are open, and scheduled performances will go on as planned. On the National Mall, museums are open, at least for now. The Smithsonian Institution will keep the museum doors open through at least October 6th. Bruce Miller is from Ellijay, Georgia. While there's a lot he can't do on this trip, he's happy the Museum of Natural History is still open.
This is the one I really wanted to see, so I'm happy.
And you got here just in the nick of time.
Before Monday, I guess, when they ran out of funds.
Vendors operating on Park Service land can continue operations during the shutdown because they don't use government funds. At the Thompson Boat Center, rowers were still able to hit the water early.
So it's pretty clear that just 4 days into this shutdown, things are already closing fast. The reports I showed today are probably going to be outdated within the next few days. This is just another reason out of the long list of reasons not to travel to the United States right now. The 51st state rhetoric and annexation threats, the bullying by CBP, ICE agents roaming around, the constant shootings, Florida's new open carry law, and the list just keeps growing. I haven't even touched on Chicago and Portland yet. I think a lot of us have already settled into our new travel routines, and I hope we keep supporting our international allies when it comes to vacations and tourism. Go to Europe, go to Central and South America, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, literally anywhere else besides the United States. And if you are traveling overseas, do not do a stopover in the US. It's just not worth the risk. If you found this video helpful, hit the like and subscribe button to help get this message out to more people, and share it with your friends as well. And if you're still here and you want to see more of my videos, check out the other ones that are showing up on your screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.